everyone, and welcome to another weekly check-in vlog where I try to keep track of my life goals and take you along for a weekend of reading. My name is Wiebke, and this year I'm trying to get myself out of survival mode, and I have not been doing well on that in recent weeks, mainly because there is a stressor that's in the back of my mind constantly that will hopefully end this weekend. I need to work on that for a few things and do stuff forward for that I hopefully can tell you about next week when all of it is dissolved and I have a solution and can share what actually that thing was. But right now it's called a secret project on my to-do list, which I made not really a to-do list, but I made a weekend plan for things I want to do, mostly content consumption and fun stuff. I definitely want to take Friday. Today is Friday, noonish, because it's the Easter weekend and we get Friday and Monday off work because it's a bank holiday here in Germany. And so I have a 4-day weekend, which gives me a lot of time to get things done, but also to rest and consume the media and content that I want to consume. And today is all about rest and consumption, because I already started the day a little bit late, reading in bed, some more in the cabinet. I talked about that last week. I hope to finish this up this weekend and give you a summary and conclusion of my thoughts. So I'm not going to dive into that right now. Another thing that I want to do today, or rather next, is going to the gym. Friday is my gym day. I usually go after work, and that's around 3-4-ish, and use the functional training area. This is a area where you have free weights and other little things that you can train with. So it's not the machines, but something that you can plan your own circuit around and use some body weighted things, and I cannot describe that area. Anyways, it's usually not very busy on the Friday afternoon when I come, but since it's a bank holiday, I have no clue what's going to happen in the gym, if there are many people, what they're doing, and so I don't really know if I can actually get to the program that I would like to, because I'm not good at feeling observed. Nobody's paying attention to me. I know that, but that doesn't matter. I feel observed, and I don't like to wait for things, or if someone else is using the station that I want to use, then I feel awkward and insecure. And usually that leads to me leaving the area and not working out anymore. Probably not the best reaction, but I need to work on that. But it's not going to happen overnight. So I'm going to go see how it's there, and I also want to try running on this curved treadmill. I have never used that, but it's there, and I need to find a way of improving my sprinting, so maybe that will help. I'm going to try and fiddle around with that today. Then I want to also continue or finish on the weekend listening to Blood Over Bright Haven. That's what I started, and honestly, I basically jumped on the bandwagon because everybody's raving about it, and I'm not really sure if I like it. I am a few chapters in, and I started on Tuesday when I went out for a run, and I wish I had known that in the first chapter, everybody dies except our male lead. So we don't know anyone yet, but still it's everybody dies while they're trying to escape the outside where there is blight and get to the safety of the city that is protected. As far as I understand it, there's a bubble over the city that protects it from the blight, and the blight is killing people. So we have our male lead introduced in the first chapter, but then the second chapter switches to a woman who is preparing for her test to become a high mage. And it's a little confusing in the beginning, but it is captivatingly written, and you are really drawn into the characters and into the story. So this woman is testing to become a high mage, and I already figured out that the society doesn't really have female high mages, and every 10 years they get a chance to test into high magehood, and that way women get a chance, but usually they only pretend to give them a chance, as far as I understand. So this year she succeeds and she joined the ranks of high mages, but of course is not really respected and welcome. So once she starts her job at the research lab where she is supposed to get assistance, they give her a assistant which is the janitor that showed her the way. And it's, of course, the man from the first chapter who escaped from the outside into the city. So he's an outsider. He doesn't belong to the same species, race. I don't really know what it is, but it's definitely a lower class, not respected, doesn't have many rights, and people look down upon him. And he's also not well educated, or as well educated as the high mages are. And that's where we're at right now, that those two are paired together. And while I do like the idea of the city and the blight, and their project is that they have to find a way to protect the city better or support the bubble. I'm not really 100% sure on that part yet. But what I don't like, or what is already annoying me a little bit, is the trope of the gender challenges, that the woman is coming into the male-dominated space and is not being accepted, is not welcome. Then I can already imagine and see that there will be a romance between the woman and the outsider, so that class difference and breaking through walls there is going to happen, and I'm just not interested. I don't care about any kind of these stories at the moment. Not saying that they're not important, not saying that they're not valuable, and not saying that this is badly done. It's just, I'm like, oh, do I have to read about that again? Anyways, that's the audiobook I'm currently listening to. After the gym, the plan for today is to be lazy, basically. I am currently in 2 shows that I would like to finish over this long weekend. That's why I put them on my weekend plan with the episodes I still have to finish. And yeah, maybe that happens, maybe not. It doesn't really matter. It's content consumption. But today it's raining outside, it's gray, it's cold. So it's a perfect day for not feeling bad, for staying indoors and streaming shows. That's the plan. I'll update you later when I'm back from the gym, or maybe tomorrow. Saturday morning. Let's catch you up on yesterday before I go running. I hope you can't hear my stomach rumbling. I'm kind of hungry already. So yesterday I left you going to the gym, and I was very lucky. A lot of people just left when I came, so the functional training area was rather, well, it wasn't empty, but it wasn't as crowded as I was afraid of. So I could try out the curved treadmill and got a little bit used to that, and also do the circle thing that I wanted to do and got a lot of exercise in. I also listened to about another hour of Blood Over Bright Haven. I think the last time I said heaven. Anyways, so, and it added another aspect of, well, shall I say annoying stereotype and trope, but the city people apparently stole the magic from the country people. And our 2 main characters are arguing about it, and the female character has a lot of trouble believing that, because it's connected to her religion and belief, and it's all based in truth. And the belief is that the country people don't really know about truth because they're not following the right gods. Something like that. So there's going to be some issue to dissolve, and something has to happen there. And they also found out what blight is. But that's going to be a spoiler, so I'm not going to tell you. So I have about 5 hours left in the audiobook, and I think I didn't do proper math when I prepared what I wanted to do this weekend, not only for the audiobooks or books in general, but also for the TV shows, because I came home yesterday and I started watching one of the episodes of the shows that I wanted to finish, and it was 70 minutes long. I would have to finish another 10 episodes to finish that series. Yeah, that's kind of over 7 hours. And then the other show, I need about 25 more episodes at 45 minutes. I didn't do the math. And then I didn't even watch the shows I set out to do. So I watched basically 1 episode in the 2nd season of The Tale of the Nine-Tailed. And I watched a movie because I wanted to have a closed, finished story. So I rewatched Life or Something Like It. And then I started a new series, The Matchmaker. I watched the first episode of that. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think I'm going to call it a win if I make progress on any of the series that I set out to watch and on the new series I started. I don't know why I keep starting things. The way I enjoy finishing things. It doesn't make sense that I don't finish things, but start new things all the time. But it's probably that I enjoy finishing and starting, but the middle part, even though I like the shows and I like the middle parts of the shows, the middle part is less fulfilling. I haven't figured that out yet. But what I did finish is The Cabinet. I finished the rest last night because I couldn't sleep well and I did a lot of reading. So The Cabinet is a book that is a little bit confusing and I ended up not particularly enjoying it. So it starts out with a strange story of a man being imprisoned in a village in the 1900s and in the 1900s, and the village is destroyed by a volcano and he's the only survivor. And then he spends his remaining life, 30 years, somewhere in Mexico, writing stories about the villagers that are strange. And that's the first story. Then the next story continues with other strange people, and more we learn about that all these people are probably part of a new species, because the idea is that the humans are evolving and Homo sapiens is going to be extinct one day, and these new people, the professor calls them the symptomers, will become the future. So they have different specialties, different capabilities and things like that. And the story is all about a young office worker, Mr. Kong, and he's basically organizing the files in the cabinet 13 it's called, where all these stories and histories and medical papers for these symptoms are. So that part is rather interesting. As the book goes on, we learn more and more about the different symptoms, but also about Mr. Kong and the research lab and all the background. But it doesn't go anywhere. At some point, I thought it was a commentary on how we work, and most of the stories, especially the time skippers, are a little bit like you spent all your life invested in work and then you look up and a year passed. And also Mr. Kong and his relationship with work and life and what he has there is mentioned, and he also criticizes sometimes very openly the way work works. What is expected of people who work, and generally it's expected that you work. And that would have been okay if that were the goal. But the end was kind of open and didn't tell me anything. So this might be a spoiler, so stop for a minute or two. The book ends on Mr. Kong being tortured and then leaving the city and escaping to an island. And it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't have any comment, it doesn't have any conclusion. It just doesn't wrap up things. So I don't know what the book wanted to do. That's one thing about the overall story and the aim of the book that I didn't particularly enjoy, because it just feels like nothing is solved, nothing is done. And another thing that really bugged me is that my edition, the Kindle edition, had some problems in editing. Sometimes words were missing, and I don't think it's bad translation, because usually the sentences were complete, so it's not always a mistake, but sometimes words were strange. And the thing that really annoyed me the most is that one character's name was constantly spelled differently, sometimes with a hyphen and sometimes without a hyphen, and sometimes on the same page you had the two ways of writing. That was completely annoying, and I think that's just sloppy editing. And another thing that really put me off the book at some point was basically just Mr. Kong. He's not a likable character, he's rather strange, and a lot of things he did didn't really make sense, and yeah, wasn't interested in him. So I don't really want to recommend the book. I know some people really like it, but maybe I find out why, or you tell me in the comments, Isabel, tell me why you liked it. And yeah, not sure what's to do there. Now I'm going to go running And then I definitely have to go food shopping at some point today, and I do want to sit down with my physical book, and I also want to film my goals check-in video. So a lot of plans for today. I'm hoping that the weather will improve a little bit. Right now it's a little bit cold and gray, but we'll see what happens. Talk to you later. Well, that didn't go as planned. Sometime after breakfast, I was hit with a wave of sad and exhaustion, so I couldn't make myself do anything productive or creative. So I reverted to doing some chores, running some errands, going grocery shopping, trying to read a bit in a stroke of the pen. And I have one short story left, so that was a success. And then I went on a walk and the sun came out and my mood got a little bit better. I listened to a little bit more of Blood Over Bright Haven, and I do find the female lead a little bit annoying in her naivete, but I guess she's making progress in what she's going to do now and discovering truth. A lot is about truth, believing, and good and evil. So there are topics that are addressed in how the city folk and the country folk have different gods and different beliefs and how they deal with truth. It is interesting, but it's also a little tropey. Anyways, it's evening now and I'm going to collapse on my couch and see if I can watch any further episodes in the shows I'm trying to watch, or if I'm reverting to a movie to get closure and something I've seen before. And it's Sunday morning. I started the day relaxed, reading in bed. I have a new book, A Palace Near the Wind. This book has a funny story. I really don't know anything about it, but a few days ago I got an email saying my book was delivered, and I was like, that's just spam. I didn't recognize the title or the author. But then the book showed up in my Kindle and the money was deducted from my account, so I looked into it. Apparently I pre-ordered this May 2024, so I thought it looks like something that I would like. I started reading. I am 2 chapters in and I'm not really sure what it's about, but apparently we have 2 civilizations, the land wanderers who live in a palace and have machines and progress and roads, and then we have the wind wanderers on the other side who are more at one with nature, and the wind wanderers are always described as talking to the wind, floating on the wind, living with the trees, and also their skin is described as bark, so I'm assuming they look like trees a little bit. I don't really know. The story starts with negotiations of marrying the eldest daughter from the Wind Wanderers or the eldest daughter of the elder from the Wind Wanderers to the king of the Land Wanderers. And it is to prevent the Land Wanderers from expanding. And that sounds quite logical, I guess, because it's destroying nature and their habitat. But also in the second chapter, it becomes more and more apparent that people from the Wind Wanderers migrate to the Land Wanderers. So they're moving there, looking at it as progress and leaving their old ways behind. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. I think in the third chapter, she hopefully will go to the palace so we see what's happening in the palace, because I have no clue. Currently, we've just been with the Wind Wanderers, and the eldest daughter, Lu Fang, is our narrator. So that's what's going on. I am not sure if I'm going to continue reading throughout the day or just when I go back to bed. It's about a little under 200 pages, so who knows if I can finish that this weekend as well. But today I need to be more aware and careful of my mood and energy, because I definitely want to film my goals check-in. So I need to do that after breakfast, which I'm about to have, and then maybe take care of other things. I also want to continue listening to Blood Over Bright Haven and going on a walk. Right now it's sunny and nice outside, so I might be able to go on a long walk and get another stretch of listening time. And then we'll see what happens. But hopefully that will help me stay in a good mood and have enough energy to do the things I want without having to make myself do all the things that I would like to do. Let's see. breakfast now. Well, that turned out to be a lovely afternoon. After filming my goals check-in, I went for a bike ride. Because it was so beautiful outside, I went to Un-SuA and also sat around there, had some lunch, and listened to Blood over Bright Haven. I finished the whole thing, and I must admit, I was a little weary at the beginning about the gender stereotypes and the prospect of a romance between two different classes or majority-minority population. And it all turned out really, really well. I really enjoyed how the book deals with the oppression that the minority country folk and the women experience, and also how our main female character, as coming from the city folk, understands or finds out how she has been treating women and the minority country folk as well as the men do, that she didn't like, that she had some similar behaviors. I also really, really liked how they dealt with the magic system and how she discovers where the magic comes from and how she deals with that and how she struggles with her religion, her belief, and her understanding of truth and what good and evil means, and her belief in her fellow city folk, that she always thinks they're better than they are. I also like that the turnout is not as optimistic and happy as you might expect from the story moving along, with her always being optimistic. So overall, I really did enjoy this. And after that, I got myself some coffee and cake and finished the last story in a stroke of the pen. I mentioned this last week already. These are short stories by Terry Pratchett, previously unknown and unpublished, or rather under a different name in the 70s and 80s. So it was really like coming home, very comfortable reading for me. It's probably, I don't know if it's something for you if you have never read any Pratchett before, because it is a little dated from the style and the fantasy that is happening. It's more urban fantasy. It's not connected to the Discworld and the things he's famous for, but it is his style of writing. So for a Pratchett fan, I would definitely recommend it. Luckily, tomorrow is another day off. I could use a rainy day because I need to do the things that will drain me and put me in a bad mood. Let's see how tomorrow goes. I tried. Let's finish up the vlog in a casual way. It's Monday evening now. I spent yesterday evening until 9 p.m. or so editing my gold check-in. It's uploaded now. Thank you all if you already watched it, or just head over there and tell me how you're doing with your goals. I then didn't watch another episode of any of the shows, but instead watched Charming, the movie where Prince Charming is too charming and everyone falls in love with him. That was very relaxing. This morning I went running, and then I wanted to be very productive, do some deep work and focus, and I failed. I know that I'm technically still in survival mode, and I'm aware of that, but I keep forgetting that because I'm functioning, that I'm still not really good at remembering things and learning new things. So I feel kind of miserable for wasting the weekend. Not because I didn't achieve anything, but because I didn't enjoy the things I achieved, or did more of the things I enjoy. Because I kept thinking I need to prepare and do some deep focus work. And I probably should have, but it's not possible. So I'm going to leave that be. So instead I spent today editing the vlog already that you're seeing, or that you've seen until now if you were still watching, and didn't give up because I really screwed up B-roll and voiceover at some point there. I didn't have enough B-roll. I thought I had enough, but I didn't. And so filming or having voiceover was not the best idea. But that's just an example how screwed up this weekend was. It was enjoyable for the things that I did. And I also spent this afternoon reading more. So I finished almost A Palace Near the Wind. And I feel if I tell you more about the story, it goes near spoiler territory, because most of it we just left in the dark. And the woman, the Windwalker, goes into the palace, and then in the palace things happen.
And she's mostly clueless. So we're clueless. And we're getting more and more about the world and the situation that are happening. And some of the things I guessed, others I'm a little confused still what's going on. I have 40 pages left, I think. Overall, I am not sure what I think about the book. The writing is a little bit hard to get into, mostly because it's very descriptive. It has a lot of adjectives, and sometimes I feel it's chopped off, that sentences and thoughts are not completely fleshed out and finished. And other times I feel that because we don't know so much, it's sort of alluring, but also not enjoyable, because I don't completely understand the world. I don't completely understand who's in charge. I don't completely understand who are the evil ones, who are the good ones, what's going on, what is going to happen, and I have no clue where it's going. So we'll see how that goes. It's 5 p.m. now, and I am falling asleep reading. That's why I stopped. And so I'm going to see if I find some more food. I had some toast for lunch and made muffins, so that's probably going to be dinner. Muffins. And yeah, maybe I'll watch whatever I wanted to watch. I'll insert my weekend plans achievement list here, so you already know what I find out tomorrow morning. Thank you all for watching. Let me know how your weekend was. Did you have a nice long Easter weekend as well? Did you do some fun stuff? Did you find Easter eggs? Are you still Easter egg hunting? Let me know in comments how you're doing. Bye-bye.